That's better. Hey, hey, Wagyu. Nice to see you here, mate. I suppose I should probably just explain a little bit about what I'm doing, I guess. Well, I'm on a bit of a holiday from work at the minute. It took a couple of weeks off. And I'm just at a bit of a loose end this evening, so I figured I've been noodling around in the studio today. Had kind of a nice day just to spend a bit of time in here. And yeah, I've been kind of working on this track, and it's just not kind of gelling at the minute properly. I've been trying to make a video with it. And so I thought, what can I do about this? Because normally I would spend a bit of time getting a performance ready, doing a video, just kind of put it together, just stick it up on the YouTube channel. And yeah, it wasn't really kind of happening. So I figured, right, well, why not just stream it? Just have a bit of a performance thing, stream a little bit, have a little noodle around. I've got a few things set up. So obviously I've got the old cameras over here from the Atem Mini switcher. So I've just got a nice view of all the bits and bobs in the room. And yeah, I've set up this, which you might not see just at the minute. It looks a bit like me. But this is my little video synth, and I can do all kinds of crazy sort of things with this. So this is it's a really, really neat thing. I'll just go through it a little bit at some point. But this is the Sleepy Circuits Hypno. And yeah, it's a really lovely bit of kit. I really, really enjoy working with this, playing with this. So we'll have a bit of a noodle around with that as well at some point. Yeah, so it's just a case of chilling, hanging, and yeah, and really just kind of, as I say, just spend a bit of time in the studio in the evening. Yeah, so I've got a couple of new bits as well in the room that I'm really, really... Hey Andy, good to see you, mate. How you doing? How's your SL Mark III Ableton scripting stuff going? Good to see you, mate. Yeah, and it is. The video synth is really, really nice. So now I'm hoping everybody... Well, the microphone's working. I've switched to the headset one tonight, just so I can play. Got my hands free. Normally I'm sitting here with what is it? Studio Electronics SE4400 microphone slap bang in my face, and it's really quite difficult because I'm kind of playing around with the stuff and it's always there, just kind of blocking my view of everything in front of me. So I've gone for the old headset today, which doesn't sound as good, but hey, that's not the end of the world. One thing I should say as well is that, yeah, this is just me. This is me on the CALC channel. This is nothing to do with the work that I do. You might have seen some of the stuff that I've done for Novation, which is the company that I work for, but this is just totally separate from that. I'm just on holiday, just having a play around. I just thought I'd experiment with this. It might well be that we have nobody watching it, although there's a few comments already, so that's kind of nice. There might be, yeah, there might be nobody watching it. It might just be a complete disaster, but it doesn't really matter because I'm just spending a bit of time in the studio playing around and having a beer. And also, because I'm not working, I can vape and have a beer, which is really quite a nice thing, I think. At least for me it is. So, So yeah, I was saying there's a few new bits in the room at the minute. Bits I'm really chuffed with. In fact, let's go for this one. This is the Buchla, the 208C, which is the Easel Command. It's one half of the Buchla music easel, and I have to say I think it's absolutely beautiful. It's got to be one of the best sounding instruments I think I've ever played. I'm really pleased. It took quite a long time to get hold of this because they sold out. The first batch sold out really quickly. So I was very patient and emailing Jason at Signal Sounds pretty much every month. Are they there yet? Are they there yet? And eventually they came through in January. So I snapped it up, and I have to say I'm over the moon with this thing. It's really nice. So again, I'm going to be having a little play with that later on. There's a couple of other bits as well. Over here, this is basically a guitar pedal made by a guy over in the States. I'm not exactly sure where. It's called the Vongon Ultra Shear. Vongon is the name of the company. This is the Ultra Shear. Yeah, that is a stunning reverb. I've got a really nice reverb just over in the corner here. It's not out of the shot at the minute. Let's see, can we see it here? Oh yeah, you can just about see the yellow here. That's the Otto BAM. Big fan of Dennis's work, Dennis Otto. He does some incredible stuff, and the BAM is beautiful, but I have to say, I think the Vongon here, it's my favourite reverb, certainly at the moment. And the other nice thing is as well, it's got a really nice chorus on there, with quite an interesting thing, because instead of just having a chorus vibrato kind of shape, it's got a random, which basically gives it a kind of a sample and hold stuff. Now I've just noticed here, chat not working. I'm going to say, if anybody is watching, and it doesn't matter if anybody isn't, I'm not bothered, but if anybody is watching and you can hear me speak, somebody just put a little comment in there saying you can hear me. That'd be really useful. Anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah, the Vongon Ultra Shear. Yeah, really beautiful. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Thanks, Yvonne. Yeah, great. Good. So yeah, the Vongon Ultra Shear, really beautiful reverb. It's DSP based. It's based on, I think it's a Lexicon 1978. I'm not entirely certain. Oh, my good chum Richie Schneider has arrived. Richard Spider, as he's known. And yeah, I just emailed a couple of mates earlier and said I'm just going to go live. And because it's not a work thing, I can swear. So he's kindly opened up the swearing in the chat there. That's great. Cheers, Rich. I'm not going to swear just at the minute, but unless something goes horrifically wrong, then I might. Yeah, Vongon Ultra Shear, really lovely. Anyway, other stuff. Blue Box. That is a bit of a doozy. It's really lovely. I've got 3 mixers now in this room. So I've got the Allen and Heath here. I have a second Allen and Heath up on the desk there, and now I've also got the Blue Box here as well. I've got so much frigging gear in here now. I basically have to keep buying mixes to patch it all in. But I bought this really to kind of be a nice kind of auxiliary feeder. I've got 4 auxiliaries on the Allen and Heath, this one. And then I send one of the auxiliaries out here to another kind of weird little auxiliary splitter box that Jacek Synth Jack made for me out over in Poznan in Poland. Really great bit of kit. I mean, you can't really see it, but it's just up here. And then I've got the 1010 here as well, the blue box, which is also another set of auxiliaries, so I can kind of feed things all over the place, which is really quite nice. So yeah, so blue box is lovely. Beads, of course, and that actually made me buy at long last a little 4MS kind of caddy case, so I could get the morphogene and put the beads in there and have it directly in front of me. I always wanted the morphogene just here. We've got the modular over here, but that's really not a great working area for me. I like it all in front, so the morphogene is something I really absolutely adore. So to get it into a 4MS pod, it's been really useful. 4MS, they do a 20 HP pod, which would just fit morphogene, and that would be perfect, but it's just not deep enough. So I had to, well, I never got one in the end, one of the 20 HP pods, but then beads came out. I thought, right, yeah, must have that one. And now I can get a pod that will fit both of them, and they do the nice deep pod in, I think this is 36 HP. So it means I could have got the morphogene in, so that's what I did. And then I guess the final thing I want to talk about is this little box here. This is made by a company up in Catskills, I think in New York State, and they're a bit more famous for their mono or monomy. I'm not quite sure how you actually call it. I don't know if anybody is. But this thing is called the Norns, Norns, and it's basically a Raspberry Pi computer with its own kind of, how can I put this? It's basically just this kind of environment for acting as a kind of a music computer. It's really quite amazing. And now this is called the Norns Shield. So this is, you buy a Raspberry Pi and you buy this little DIY kit, put it together, put the Raspberry Pi in there, load it all up with the Norns operating system, and it is stunning. And this is just running one app at the minute called Plunge, which is a great name for it. There are apps coming out for this thing, and like just the rate of apps coming out is just incredible. And the great thing is, they're all free. If you haven't researched into Norns, I highly recommend that you do. You can buy kind of a fully built Norns if you prefer. This, I just did it as a DIY sort of job. This DIY was super simple. You didn't have to do any soldering on this one. I'm quite a big fan of soldering, but none on this one. And yeah, seriously, it's revolutionary, this thing. A big shout out to my chum at work, Danny Nugent, the legend that is Lucky Cats, Danny Nugent. He put me onto the Norns, and it's brilliant. And you can see here I've got a couple of Launchpad minis running, and these are actually acting as a grid of 128 buttons for controlling the Norns. Really, again, lovely thing. And that's what we're listening to, this rather ambient, interesting little progression. It's just run from this app called Plunge, and I've got, I think, piano sounds playing on this side, and I've got this kind of choir sound here. These are just samples that are coming directly from it, and that's all we're listening to. And the nice thing is you can just get really obscure sort of timed or steps, if you like, of sequences on both sides. In fact, you've got 8 different voices. I'm only using 2 voices here, but you've got 8 of them. It's a very powerful device. And just a little testimony to the guy. I mean, there's one guy in particular on the Norns apps, making Norns apps. He goes by the name of Infinite Digits. Zach, I think, is his name, and he has made some stunning apps. He just puts them up there on the Norns kind of community board. Download them. Stunning things. And the great thing about this is, he released it. I mean, he was doing almost like an app a week at some point, and And he released this, and it's such a great community surrounding Norns, because I just posted, in fact there's a couple of people just posted, and myself included, this would be amazing if you could get MIDI out on it. And then about 4 or 5 days later, he popped back up, said, hey Calc, hey the other guys, yeah, good idea on the MIDI output, we'll put it on there. So I can use this to basically sequence everything in the room if I want to. At the minute I'm just using 2 internal sounds, like a piano sample and, as I say, a choir sample, and I think these are actually from the Piano Book website. Again, great resource, great free resource. So yeah. Anyway, yeah, so that's what we've been listening to. So the Norns is just playing this little sequence, and that's just running through beats here. So I can just fiddle around with that sound. Just kind of play around with it. Maybe don't touch the pitch, we're in tune. Don't touch the pitch, we're in tune. Yeah, beads, what a lovely thing that is as well. I always wanted to get a cloud to put in the rack over here, but never got hold of one of the originals, of course. Looked at a couple of DIY jobs, but then beads came around. It's like, okay, that's the one. Let's have a quick sip. So, I reckon I'm going to play a little bit of music now. Oh, Wayne Haslam, Pocket Rocket Ron Haslam here. Yo dude, you prefer a gas soldering iron or an electric? For sure, my soldering iron recommendation is the Hakko 888D. It's brilliant. It's not too expensive. Well, I don't know, I mean, if you think 150 quid for a soldering iron's expensive, then yeah, fair enough. But I tell you what, once you buy a decent iron, that makes all the difference to when you're soldering. So Wayne, hello mate, I hope you're all good. But yeah, the 888D from Hakko, H-A-K-O. So definitely electric. There you go, mate. Chin stroking stuff. So yeah, I think I'm going to turn the mic off for now. And hey, Synth Addict, hey, see you. Yeah, I'm going to turn the microphone off for a little bit and just have a noodle around. Stay if you want to. I'll probably just dip into a sip of beer every so often. You're welcome to leave the room if you need to go to the bar, whatever. It's all good. Yeah, right, so yeah, I'll have a little noodle around and then I'll come back. So, where are we? Right, see you in a bit. nothing on drum 4 on the circuit tracks. We'll have to make make something happen there, I reckon. For a little transition, I guess now. So now this is an interesting one. So I've kind of got two little bits going, and the next track I want to get to is, go to my projects. It's this one here. So here. So what I need to do is, let's go to the mixer first and just get rid of that kick and get rid of this drum beat. So now we go back to the nice ambient-y kind of thing again. Norns, running through beats, just having a bit of fun with that. And then, so the circuit tracks has come out of the equation now. So this is kind of a nice way to do a little transition. Obviously I've got other bits and bobs going on here. Now I'm going to move to this track. Now thankfully it's at the same tempo. But what I need to do now, and this is where it gets a little bit interesting, is I've now got to go in and change the MIDI channels, because for that last track I was using 3 MIDI channels for the Buchla Easel. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about that if I get a chance to. But the point is that you can use 3 MIDI channels for the Buchla Easel, and that it really opens it up. You can basically treat, there's 2 oscillators in here, you can treat them on separate MIDI channels, and then you have like a master MIDI channel for kind of triggering the envelopes, you know, the VCA or the low pass gate if you prefer, and that sort of thing. So yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit, but as I say, that's taken up quite a bit of what was going on there. So now for this next thing, I'm going to bring in the Summit, and that's synth 2, which is going to be on channel 14, if I remember. MIDI 1 is the Juno 106, which is tucked down here behind me. I'm using the 106 at the minute, and that's on channel 10. The Buchla is on channel 1, so, and this is on MIDI 2 here. So I'm going to switch that channel to MIDI channel 1. Now I've completely reconfigured the MIDI routing of the circuit tracks. By the way, the circuit tracks is kind of taking care of pretty much everything in this room at the minute. You know, obviously I'm a little biased. I work for the company that makes this, but it is a fantastic bit of kit. I have to say, I'm really, really pleased with circuit tracks. On paper, it might seem, oh, it's just a little bit of an update from the original, but actually, when you get all of those parts into, all of those new things into this package, it makes a massive, massive difference. There's so much stuff that this does that The original didn't. Now the original, of course, that grew over its 5 years with loads of firmware updates and became really very powerful little sequencer and, of course, Groovebox. Circuit Tracks has really kind of had the opportunity to bed in all those firmware updates and just kind of push it to the next level. And I have to say, I love it. So, there you go. Reconfigured all my MIDI tracks on Circuit Tracks whilst everything's still playing. Play button is still going here. Anyway, let's come back out. Now, let's see. I'm just going to reset the preset on the old Summit over here. In fact, I have a fourth camera tonight. There's the Summit. So I guess I'll mute the mic. Now, this is the track I mentioned before at the beginning. This is the track that I've been kind of struggling to kind of make it work. So this could be a total disaster, but hey, it's all good. As I say, I'm just having a bit of a noodle around tonight. So yeah, if it's a disaster, what the heck, it doesn't matter. Anyway, I'm going to mute myself again and see what happens. So I reckon I've got my MIDI tracks routed incorrectly. Let's see. Maybe, yes, I know what happened. Okay. Just had the wrong pattern selected, that was all. yeah, remember to tune the Buchla up as well. Well, there we go. That was, yeah, that was the track I was kind of struggling with, to be honest. So yeah, anyway, there we go. So yeah, it was just a bit of fun, really. Just kind of having a bit of a noodle around today. Let's bring that Norns back in again now. Nice little bit of backing. There we go. We can go back to that nice, easy, nice chilled out sound. Oh, what did I do there? Turn the gain up. That's not what I want to do. I want to turn up this Norns going into the Vongon, into the Ultra Shear here. Lovely, lovely reverb. There we go. So, well, I'm kind of happy now because that track that I just played then, it started off as, now I don't know if you've seen this, but there is an amazing David Lynch, the film producer, since November last year has been basically giving a weather report over in LA every day since well, I don't know when it was in November, but it's November last year. I think it was then. Maybe even longer, I don't know. But basically, yeah, I find it fascinating just watching him read the weather. And there was this one day he did it back, I think it was maybe the end of February. And the way he said, beautiful blue skies and golden sunshine, he just sang it. And I just thought, right, got to have that as a sample. So I did a cheeky YouTube grab, stuck it into the Morphogene. The Morphogene wasn't really doing anything there. It was just basically sending it onto the beads. And the beads just kind of plays around with that, which is really nice. Number of the day, that's right, Synthetic, yeah, number of the day. An amazing video in which he basically gets a jar of ping pong balls with numbers written on them and yeah, pulls one out, and that's the number of the day, and that's it. I love it. Good shout, Synthetic, it's so true. So basically that track, as I said, I kind of struggled a little bit with it, and I made a video of it, but it just wasn't sitting well, which is why I thought why not do a live stream? Buchla was doing a hell of a lot of stuff there. I mean, I'll just quickly talk through the setup. So basically I've got the 4 tracks here on circuit tracks. Now I'm actually using external instruments on the circuit tracks here. So let's go synth 1. What was that? Yeah, that was this lead line here. Yeah, that was kind of this lead line that was going on. Synth 2 is the second part B. Actually, no, part A on the summit. So I've got part A and part B. That first one we listened to is part B. This is part A. Just playing these really nice chords. The third part was the Juno. Yeah, the Juno down here. And then the fourth part here was the Buchla. Now, I'm just going to stop this for a second because just a quick word on how I got that Buchla thing working in that way. Now, whilst I've been on holiday, Novation haven't stopped. And yesterday, an announcement came through for the Launchkey series. And that was adding a strum feature to the arpeggiator, and that's exactly what I used on the Buchla here to kind of get that really wonky all over the place thing. Let's just mute the Norns a sec. I've on gone. Now it's just kind of all over the place this, but it's so kind of nice. Now, there's a bit of effects on there as well, of course. By the way, the Easel Command, this particular version of the music easel, has got some really great MIDI capabilities. So I've mapped it onto these pots here. So just going to quickly show you that now. Which channel? This is channel 1, I think. So just check. Yeah, MIDI channel 1 for the keys. Yeah. Turn on the arpeggiator. And if I just hold down a chord, no sound, because we're using this strum thing here, and basically you use the modulation wheel here to strum through the notes. Now this I think is set to random. Let's go up an octave or 2, let's press another chord. So this kind of the effect of basically triggering the notes. Let's see, is that mic working all right? Can you hear me okay? Anyway, yeah, but this effect of triggering these notes with the modulation wheel just has some really, really nice things, and it just gives you kind of a new way. I mean, of course, if I press then hold the arp, I can turn the strum off. I think it's this one. Yeah. And now we just go to a normal arpeggiator. Oh, and there's the arp controls, of course. go to the right tempo, 95, yeah. Let's take the arc controls off and now listen to that Buchla. I mean, that, as far as I'm concerned, that Buchla just sounds incredible. Just turn it down a bit. Turn me up a bit. I don't know if I'm coming over it, but yeah, this Buchla is just amazing. So that's a normal arp, and then, as I say, we'll turn on the strum thing, and then... So that's a really nice thing, and that's basically how I did that arp part. Recorded me just strumming that with a modulation wheel into circuit tracks, turned off the quantized recording so I could get all of the notes in there. And yeah, that's how that works. It's really nice, really nice. In fact, the Launchkey and the circuit is a really great pairing with this Buchla, which is really surprising to me. I think I mentioned at the beginning about, let's go back to that track. So I'll go back to that first one. I need to change all my MIDI settings again, but hey, it's not going to take long. So MIDI 2 goes into channel 3, MIDI 1 goes to channel 1, synth 2 goes to channel 2. Okay, let's see. Hit play. Yeah. Got some strange thing going on in the background. No matter. But basically, yeah, so MIDI 1, channel 1 triggers the VCAs, the low pass gates in this instance. I've switched it up to a low pass gate. So if I press that, oh, let's get out of arpeggio-native mode. So that's basically kind of just triggering the low pass gates here, these two faders here. And again, using the Launchkey, I can just play around with the shape, with the decay portion, which are these two pots here. I've got them kind of fired in via MIDI. So then I mentioned that you've got 3 MIDI channels for the Buchla. The complex oscillator sits on MIDI channel 2. So if I bring in this synth part, which is this weird length sequence, arpeggiator sequence here. Let's just have a listen to that. So I've still got some Norns coming through. Let's get rid of that. So you can kind of hear now on the right, this sequence is running through, but of course is only getting triggered when MIDI channel 1, or in this instance this sequence here, is triggering the notes. So this is an odd number compared to this. This is 16 steps. This is what, 13 steps? So it's going to constantly evolve. Same on MIDI channel 2, sorry, MIDI channel 3 I should say, which I've set to this track here. That controls the modulation oscillator. So if I bring that one in now, and bring that up, so now we've got kind of 2 pitch sequences feeding the oscillators, 2 different pitch sequences feeding the oscillators, but we've got a common trigger, so we hear the notes together, but we've got 2 completely independent sequences running. And if I bring up the sustained oscillators, you'll kind of hear the notes. So yeah, so that's a really nice thing. So having these kind of 3 independent sequences going into the easel is a really, really nice thing. Really nice thing. Then, as I say, I've mapped the kind of the available MIDI controls for the easel onto these pots here. So I've got kind of glide. Can't really hear that too much for this. So here I've got basically, this is set to the pressure outputs, and you can feed the pressure output to wherever you want. So I've got it going into the decay of one of the shapes here, one of the oscillators, and the second as well. It's feeding from here, so then I can extend that decay range. I've also got modulation of the complex oscillator, and that's on here. Quite nice gnarly stuff going on with that. And of course, the beauty of the music easel is this complex oscillator with its wavefolding shaping. Anyway, ooh, there we go. So, yeah, so that's the Buchla. Loved that thing to bits. Yes, Simon, I've just seen your message as well there. Is that the Abyss up on the top shelf? It certainly is. Another incredible sounding instrument, that one. Yanis over at Dreadbox he's on fire, basically. He's making some amazing stuff. And a full voice analog poly. Yeah, it's a stunning instrument, that one. Really good. I mean, yeah, there's quite a few bits and bobs in the room that kind of are up on shelves these days, which is almost criminal, I guess. But I've only got 2 hands. Ah, there's Mr. Button. Hello, sir. Hope things are all right with you, man. It's been a week or so. Anyway, oh no, I thought I'd frozen. I'm seeing myself sort of 20 seconds in front, and I was just sat there with a pint in my hand, just laughing at Button being there. Button is a colleague of mine over at Novation, and a wonderful chap to boot as well. Now, I did say earlier I was going to take a look at this little video synth that I've got here, this thing. So if I just switch to this view here, actually I can take my kind of camera bit off there. Now, that looks fairly straightforward, fairly similar to kind of what we were looking at before, maybe a little bit blurry, maybe a little bit 720 instead of 1080. But if I start to play around with this a little bit, you'll start to see that we can start to really mess around with this image. And this is the Sleepy Circuits Hypno video synth. And it's a really, really powerful little box. It's small, it's not particularly cheap, I have to say. It's not cheap, but it's kind of, it just does stuff that, you know, you just really don't kind of expect. As if you can lose hours and hours playing around with this. So at this point here, I've got a video feed. I've got these cameras kind of feeding into the Hypno video synth. It's basically, it's based around kind of 2 video synthesizers, if you like. Now, ordinarily, you can switch to this kind of thing, which are just basic lines, and you can kind of zoom into them, and then you can bend them, or kind of basically morph them into a nice circle there, and then you can kind of start to modulate them a little bit, maybe sort of do a bit of fractal-y kind of stuff with them, really kind of expand them out, go really quite kind of fine, get some nice moire kind of effects with it, start to kind of really morph around with it quite a lot, change the colour, of course, all this sort of stuff. Now, this is just one of the video synths. Let me bring in the other video synth. So let's see, is that turned off? Yeah, it is. I'm just gonna turn it on. There I am again. And now on this second channel, I can do similar things as I was doing before. So I can kind of spin me round, bring me back in, spin me around there. Let's see if why don't I start to fractalize this? So there we go. Nice bit of Buchla keyboards moving around. It's a little bit fast perhaps, so let's just slow it down if we can. Which one is it? That's the one thing I do find is I kind of forget exactly which control does what. There we go. Nice and slow. Let's just make it start to spin a little bit. Yeah. So yes, I mean, this is a really great piece of kit. I do really enjoy this. And yeah, whilst I've been on a holiday, my good mate Mr. Johnny Gabber, who's been building a nice fence for me in the garden, he managed to forget, he brought his projector around, he's managed to forget it, so I'm going to have a little bit of fun with that over this weekend. Project onto the side of the house, I guess, with this sort of stuff. But yeah, this is really well worth checking out. It's the Sleepy Circuits Hypno synth. Really lovely thing. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it. The one thing I would say is, if you're going to sit down with this, yeah, make sure you've got a bit of time on your hands, because I have found myself losing absolutely hours and hours to this thing. You know, which is fine if you've got those hours to while away, I guess. So yeah, But yeah, it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I mean, just getting in the zone with it now. Oh yeah, maybe let's just bring in that Norns sound back again. We stop playing here. We have. Ooh. Yeah, nice bit of atmospheric stuff to finish off with. I guess I should probably finish off. I've been chatting for an hour, I guess. Oh, wrong one. Let's see. Yeah, let's get back into the beads as well. Say goodbye to Mr. Lynch, giving us his last bit of weather report. And now we should get a bit more of that Norns coming back in. Well, there we go. So yeah, I think I'll finish up now. But I've had a bit of fun tonight. As I say, I just thought I'd kill the evening really, have a beer, make a bit of music and just do it with the cameras on instead of yeah, instead of not. Why not? So I'll keep an eye on this. If it kind of goes alright, people kind of like it, I might do another one or two of these in the future when we've got some new stuff to think about. As I say, you know, I do work at Ovation and I do a lot of video stuff for them. I do a lot of live stream stuff as well at the moment for Ovation. We've got one next week actually, should be great. Oh no, it's going to be a little later, I beg your pardon. But Easel CALC, my colleague over in Australia, and I are going to basically do a little performance stream, I think. We did one a couple of weeks ago, which was really quite nice. We did one where we were jamming together live, and he's based in Melbourne, I'm based in Brighton in the UK, so that was quite a thing really, to get us to be able to actually play live together, and I think we managed to make it happen. But the next time we're going to have a couple of individual kind of sets. Yeah, so that should be fun, watch out for that. But yeah, anyway, yeah, so Wayne, my good mate Wayne up in Lee, back where I'm from, asked, can you make the vid thing react to music? I should point that out actually, yes. So here's the video synth, and you've got your controls here, and yeah, you've got these mini jack sockets here. Now Wayne, I know you're not particularly a mad synth head. Let's see if I go to this. Oh yeah, you can't really see. No, let's go to this one. Over here, mate, is a little modular synthesizer. And these are all individual pieces, individual bits of kind of synthesizers. So you might have like an oscillator to generate the sound, or a filter to kind of color the sound. You might have controls to kind of shape the sound. And they all interconnect using these little mini jack sockets. And that's exactly what we've got in here. So the answer to your question, can it react to music? Yes, it can. You can feed audio signals into these little sockets here. And then, of course, you can kind of assign that. Well, these are assigned to the various controls here, so it'll start to bounce around the different controls. So, yeah, the answer is yeah, you can make it react to music. Brilliant. Well, hey, yeah, some really nice comments there. Thanks very much. Thanks to Wagyu, to Simon Kozecki. I don't know if we've met before, Simon, but it's nice to see you here. Thanks. Button, of course, my esteemed colleague. Tonal Axis, hey mate. Synth Addict. Punkari Gamer, please support me, only 147 subscriptions. Well, there you go. If you are feeling altruistic, please go and support Punky Gamer. Nice to see you, mate, thanks. Anyway, and Inky, of course. Hey Inky, good to see you here as well. So, and Andy Davidson. Yep, shout out to all you lot. Thanks very much. Yeah, I'm going to finish up now. Button's asking me, how am I going to start warming up for question time? Well, the answer to that is, I already have, mate. I don't really watch Question Time anymore. It just makes me, just makes me feel angry. I prefer to come in here and play on the video synth for hours on end. Anyway, yeah, thanks very much indeed, guys and girls. And yeah, let's see, maybe we'll see you again at some point doing this once more. All right, all the best. Bye-bye.